Hello, everybody. I'm Krasiattasio. I'm sidereal astrologer. And today I will talk about the wealth, in the money in the horoscope. Um, this is a topic which concerns everyone, and often people ask me about their potentials, and especially in terms of wealth, making money. Of course, the basic knowledge is that we look at the houses which have the meaning of money and the way we make our money, and this will certainly be the second house. This will be also the 11th house, and with a very high importance will also be the ninth house, because the ninth house is trining the ascendant and has particularly important role in the character, in the potentials of the person, of the native. Of course, I will show you an example, but I want to just share with you some basic rules which you can use when you are approaching a chart. So what I do personally is when I approach a chart, of course, the first step is to analyze in detail the ascendant, because the ascendant, the first house, describes the personality, the potentials, the qualities. Because when you see the qualities of someone, then you know how far he can go with making money, how smart he is also in making money, how flexible his mind is in creating profit, and also how lucky he is, of course, how blessed he is. So I look at the ascendant and the placement of the ascendant ruler. So of course, there is also this very important division of the zodiacal signs into terms, which is known to the ancient astrology, and which is originated from Hermes. So every zodiacal sign is divided into 5 sections. Each section is ruled by planet. And you can basically very easily find online the Egyptian terms of Hermes, but I will show you how they look like. So I'm just sharing with you one chart. And as you can see here, every sign I'm pointing is divided into 5 terms. Each one has different length. The longest is 12 degrees and so on. There is a very special philosophy behind the creation of these terms. And I will explain this separately, because now the basic and most important question is how to use the terms in describing, in seeing the potentials of making money of the person. So in this particular horoscope, we have Scorpio rising, and we see that the ascendant is passing through the Jupiterian term. So what we do is we see how the Jupiterian term, how the planet Jupiter fits into Scorpio. And normally Jupiter is a very benefic planet, but the first term, of course, of a Scorpio, the most benefic will be Mars, because Mars is a co-ruler of Scorpio. So this is basically how you approach. If you look at and so on, you use your logic, or there is description of the terms which is very well explained by Valens, Vettius Valens, and which comes from Hermes, and he gives the potentials which every term, rising term, can denote to the native when on the ascendant. Example, look at Libra. And if Saturn, the first term, is rising, this is a very successful and full of potentials term, because you know that Saturn ideally is exalting in Libra. So you can follow up the logic behind the nature of the planets and the nature of the signs, and you can come up with the logic how successful certain rising term will be for someone. But the most important here is this. You look at the ascendant. First, the signs have different nature. And for our particular era, signs of big importance are the signs where the solstices and the equinoxes are. And these are Pisces for the vernal equinox, Virgo for the autumn, Gemini for the spring solstice, summer solstice, and this will be Sagittarius for the winter solstice. These signs have particular importance for our era, and they give power to the horoscope. So this is already potential. Then you look at the signs very, very important where the 4 royal stars are. You may see my video on the royal stars. There are 4 videos where I explain the nature of the 4 royal stars, which form a cross in the sky. And it is said that when one has a royal star rising on the ascendant, or with the moon, or with the sun, or on the ascendant, or on the descendant, then the gods multiply the blessing, the good for this person. So look, in this particular case, the rising sign is Scorpio, and Scorpio is known with the power of Antares, powerful star of the soldier, of the army general. And then you have Taurus, and if Taurus is rising, you have then the star Aldebaran in the 15 degrees Taurus, associated with wealth. And then you have Leo, where you have Regulus in the star in the 6 degrees Regulus in the heart of the lion. And then you have, which is the star of the king. And then you have Aquarius, where you in the 9 degrees, you have Fomalhaut, the star of the spiritual guru. So these are the 4 royal stars. If the sign only, without exact conjunction with the stars, is on the ascendant, this already gives power to the horoscope. If the stars are conjoined the line of the ascendant, then this is a very high potential. Of course, the stars should not be afflicted or should not receive any aspect from planet, because this is modifying the nature of the star. But this you can see in detail in my other videos on the stars. They're available on my YouTube channel. So having, for example, Aldebaran in the 15 degrees of on the ascendant, unafflicted, is absolute sign of power, wealth, and yes, power and rank. But the star should not be afflicted. The same is valid if Aldebaran is on midheaven. Will give certainly a rise in the professional rank and money. So it is very important indeed that we look at the stars. First, we look at the ascendant, the rising term, how potentially the rising term, how many potentials in terms of money and achievements the rising term has. Then, of course, we look where the ruler of the ascendant is placed. Imagine one would have Leo rising, ascendant passing to the 6 degree Leo, royal star of the king of rulership, which will be Regulus. And then imagine the sun is in the 10 degrees, unafflicted, and the moon is waxing. This horoscope is enormously full of potentials for making money, for having wealth, for generating money. Very, very important are also the heliacal phases of the planets. What this would say is that the invisible planets hidden in the rays of the sun are not denoting their full blessing. So, for example, if you have Venus, which is associated with money, if you have Venus invisible in the rays of the sun, and if Venus is ruling your 11th or 2nd house, this Venus has very little potentials in terms of achieving, generating wealth. If, of course, this particular Venus is rising heliacally at certain age of the person, then the potentials are there again. But it is very important to follow up the heliacal phases of the planets, which would mean phases associated with the path of the sun. When a planet is hidden in the rays of the sun, it is sort of finding full comfort with the sun, with the father of the solar system. And this is decreasing the influences of the planet. 11th house, very important is the 11th house. The 11th house in the ancient astrology is the house of the good spirit. So this is a house which is about gains. This is a house who makes aspect to the ascendant, who is aspecting your second house of the way you make money. So it's a key factor to see which are the planets in your 11th house, where the ruler of the 11th house is placed. If Saturn is in the 11th house is softening the qualities of the Saturn, and Saturn is happy there because this is the house of the good spirit. And Saturn is becoming friendlier. And when you enter period of Saturn, or when such Saturn can be beneficial in terms of making money. It is not the same if Saturn is in the second house. This would mean that the native will need to invest some extra energy and efforts in making money. If benefic planet is seeing all this from an angle, like from the seventh house, from midheaven, then all this can be softened. So it's very important which are the planetary aspects of the benefic planets. But never forget to look at the stars. At the stars which are related to wealth, and I will show you which are the main stars. So I'm sharing with you another chart just in order to look at another example, but to list the most important stars of money. Of course, you know that this axis of Taurus and Scorpio is called the axis of money, and it denotes power and wealth to the native. But we know that the most important stars of wealth and money are in Taurus. The first and the most powerful one, with quite big orb of nearly 7 degrees, is Aldebaran. So if you see someone having unafflicted moon in Aldebaran, sun in Aldebaran, ascendant, descendant, midheaven in Aldebaran, know that this person will, without any doubt, be able to have lucky way of making money and gain. And this is the 15 degree of Sidereal Taurus. The other powerful star of wealth is Rigel in the 23rd degree. Rigel, see I'm pointing 23rd degree of Taurus again. Then we have Algol, which is having very mixed nature. This is the Medusa, and I have separate video only on Algol. But Algol in the 2nd degree Taurus can also denote money. Then we have Auniwam, a star in the 29th degree of Taurus. And we have in the 27th degree Capella, star of money. And basically, these are the most important stars which denote wealth. Well, let's not forget the lucky placement of Jupiter and Venus. Jupiter in the, imagine exalted Jupiter in the 11th house, or Jupiter on its own position in 11th house in diurnal chart, because Jupiter is diurnal planet. This would be a true blessing in terms of making money, generating wealth. The same is valid for Venus. So this is basically what you should look at, the ascendant. So look, this is a lucky placement. Here we do have Libra rising, Venus on the ascendant, Mercurian term. Mercury is in the 2nd house together with Jupiter and the Sun. And Mercury, even though peregrine, so not in the best position in Scorpio, is visible. So this is very positive, very big potential in terms of making money. And then the Sun in the 2nd house as well. Why the potentials here are increased? It is because the moon is waxing. Even though this is nocturnal chart, and the waning moon wouldn't be a problem, because the waning moon is a night moon and would fit also well in this particular chart. But I see big potentials here in terms of making money. I forgot a very important star, which is not belonging to Taurus, and which is also very important in terms of lucky in terms of making money, and this is Spica. See, Spica is in the 29 degrees Virgo, and Spica is the star which is showing the hand of the celestial woman Virgo, and the wheat stroke she's carrying in her hand. So it's really true blessing. Also, I make talismans of speaker, especially because this power of speaker is about money. Powerful would be the talismans, of course, of Aldebaran, speaker as well. So basically, these are key positions, key stars, which are very, very important. And I think that when you look at the chart, when there are no stars of importance in the chart, there will be some additional efforts in anything, also in making money. The full moon is a very interesting factor, and the full moon is in the chart. Like, for example, Donald Trump is having on midheaven. I have a video about the horoscope of Donald Trump. You can see it again on my channel. You have Donald Trump having on midheaven Aldebaran, and then he's born on the full moon day. What is this full moon exactly meaning? Full moon is big, giving, generosity, and it is, the full moon is very, very generous in terms of wealth, but can create sudden changes. So he may be wealthy today, but tomorrow he can lose his wealth. And this is very typical also for him, because he had 2 or 3 known bankruptcies. So this is because of the full moon. If he just had a waxing moon in the horoscope with this particular placement of midheaven in Taurus, he would never have lost his fortune and having 2 bankruptcies. So basically, these were the main things that could be very useful as useful advices. There are, of course, many planetary aspects which would say the native will lose his or her money or properties. So these are the important aspects between Jupiter and Saturn. And if Jupiter is more powerful and you see a trine or conjunction, Jupiter-Saturn, but Jupiter is in the smaller degrees, then it is wealth. If the other way around, it can denote wealth, but then the native is risking to lose at one certain point in life his or her property or wealth. Or there is such saying that the native can lose the inheritance of the parents, of the father. So, of course, I just gave you basic kind of advices on how to approach the question of wealth and money in the horoscope. Don't forget to look at the ascendant, the placement of the ascendant ruler, and stars, especially royal stars, and 11th, 2nd, 9th houses, and very important is the lunar phase. If the horoscope you see as very promising, super promising royal star on the ascendant, but if the native is born in the day and the moon is waning, the potentials of the chart are some kind of limited. He may not reach the rank and the wealth that he's aiming at, because this particular moon, or moon without course, void of course, these particular phases of the moon can create certain blockages or limitations. So I hope this was useful. I'm also planning to make monthly forecasts for the financial situations of the markets, mundane. So I hope you like it, and I hope this was useful for you. Thank you.